Hey everyone, it's Raid Kitty, and I'm here with my Raid Kitty s'mores. And today it's the last episode of CollabTown. Some of you guys are like, oh, thank God, I'm ready for her to get back to some good content. And some of you guys are going to be a little sad, and you know what? I'm a little bit of both. So we're going to be finishing up this last episode by detailing the horse racetrack that we built last time, as well as detailing the rest of the park. There are still some places that are kind of empty, so we're going to be filling in that. So if you watched my last episode, you remember I cried with laughter when I zoomed out and saw that my racetrack jumped and everything went away and it was all jaggedy and hilarious. So to fix that, I'm actually running a pedestrian road around the outside. And I'm going to run it all the way around so people can walk around the outside. You can also have your camera people on the outside, your veterinarians, your jockeys, whatever you need around the outside of the track. It'll also be a nice little cheat for us because then I can run that surface painter right up to the edge. And it will be a lot less Raggedy Ann, if you know what I'm saying. So that's just kind of what I'm doing here. And I'll go through with TMPE and remove all of the road access on that, so it's pedestrian only, in the off chance that it can be reached by something. And so you see I removed the external edge of the gravel, and now I'm going back. It's not perfect, but it's definitely a lot better, and you'll see when I zoom out here in a moment. So I'm going to run this gravel all the way around and create the track again, give the horses something to race on that isn't just grass. And like I said, it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. So today's episode is going to be pretty short. While I did a lot of detailing, I removed quite a bit of content because there wasn't a whole lot I was doing. And it was a lot of me zooming out, seeing what spots needed to be filled, and zooming back in. And I do recommend, if you're looking to fill up areas of your city, or even just an area like this, is to zoom out and get a bird's eye view, and your eye will be drawn to the thing that looks different. And sometimes that's good, but in my case, the thing that looks different is big, wide, empty spaces. And in this particular case, I don't want big, wide, empty spaces. So now we're going to place some trees around the horse stables and the horse track and finish it up. And then we're going to start lining the outside of our fairground to fill in some of that area. So you see I'm using the prop line tool and I'm dragging some bushes and small trees around. And I'm going to continue to do this at different parts of the episode to fill in some of this area, because if not, it's just a fence. And sometimes fences aren't good enough deterrents for people. And it just kind of completes it, you know? And I apologize for all my camera movement. I did a lot of zooming out this episode. And here I'm covering the tunnel that runs underground for the garbage and the emergency services to come in. And I used a train track arm as like a service gate where you'd have to scan a badge to go through. And then we're going to place an info booth where people can get information about the fairground and the services that are involved. And we're going to place a couple of the farm prop assets. In case you can tell, or couldn't tell, I'm ignoring the huge death of my market district problem. I will fix it later, I promise, but currently I'm just ignoring it. Also, I'd like to take this moment to tell a friend of mine, you know who you are. Hello. But anyway, back to the regular scheduled me talking very, very loud. So here we're going to look for some tiling to fill in this area with the fountain. This is going to be the entrance to the park. It is something I want to be special. I want it to be a place where people can come and sit outside, maybe have a picnic lunch before coming in, wait for family, etc. Somewhere that is unique and different to sit. And it kind of has that plaza feel. And then we're going to put some greenery out front. When I think of New England, because I am not from there, as I've said before, I think of a lot of green, a lot of trees, lush. Oh man, so I just really wanted to bring that into this fairground. And while I'm sure, and I'm not sure, but while I could imagine that in places where you would want this much activity, you'd actually take out a lot of the trees. But I wanted to put some in and make it feel more natural. So a lot of this here is just me placing trees. I like trees. And what I'm going to end up doing here in a moment, and you'll notice, is I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to go find a section of trees in the wild, as I call it. And we're going to copy that section of tree with the Move It tool. And then we're actually going to use that to fill up this area over here on the edge. And so I'm going to go take this thing, this little bit of tree, and I'm just going to take sections of it. And I'm really going to fill this area in. It's a lot easier than going and grabbing trees, in my opinion. And I am not 100% sure what kind of trees were used on the map. And I wanted to continue those trees because a large area like that, in my opinion, deserves it. And so here what I'm doing is I'm going to actually place some of the chairs from the national park or the nature reserve park around the tents and the lean-to shelters. This is so people can sit and enjoy the concert. And again, it just brings an area to life that I think really deserves it. And then we're going to go through and at all the food stands, I'm going to place more of the crowd control barriers. And then you know me and my love of trash cans. And so this is not Coachella, because I'm sure if anybody has been to Coachella, they're going to look at this and go, that's not what Coachella looks like. Place some big screens. And then along the back, I'm going to be placing junk in the concert's trunk, so to speak. So when you're setting up big stages like this, they're going to have platforms and backdrops and all this stuff. And so there's going to be crates and boxes that a lot of the equipment is taken out of. And so in order to show that and demonstrate that, I wanted to place junk in the concert's trunk. I also keep ignoring the market district every time. It's just, I don't want to deal with it at the moment. So now we're going to take not that intensive a line of grills, and I'm going to line the main entrance. I consider this kind of the main thoroughfare through the fairground. And so we're going to take some of these grills and some of the different stands and sprinkle it around. More food stands, more shopping stands, definitely not a tourist trap. I don't know what you're talking about. And it's probably a little overkill, but I wanted to use a lot of space. And in the middle of the main thoroughfare, I'm going to stick some cotton candy and some kettle corn vendors, maybe some mini toys. You know, like when you go to the mall and you avoid eye contact with everyone down the center because you know that they're working for commission and you feel bad for not buying anything, but if you stop, then it's going to take your time. Yeah, that's what I made those kettle corn vendors. And here I'm using the same section of trees, filling out a large area, and then putting in some small shrubbery and bushes where I believe they need to be to continue forth. Man, I love this build. I did this, actually, it's, in case you were curious, it's been quite a while since I built this. I've had some computer issues, which I'll talk about in my first desert build. My first episode back to the desert build, that is. And so I spent a lot of time fixing my computer. And so luckily I had recorded a lot of this beforehand. And now I'm finally in a place where I can get back to editing. So we're going to place, I'm not going to place anything between the stalls and the fair portion, like the rides. So that's why I'm placing the grass. And so how I'm fixing this market district is I'm selecting a type of building using the Move It tool, the selection tool, and then I'm using the marquee tool to go over all of those buildings and hit the reset button. It only selects the buildings, which is super nice. and I was able to reset the market district. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to turn it to nighttime because I want to make sure that this is a safe place at night. And what I did is I turned it down and I zoomed out, and where there are large black patches, I come and I run lights. Some of those black patches are going to be huge parts of trees, where people aren't going to be allowed to walk anyway, so I was not super concerned about those areas. But the main areas I'm really concerned about is people's safety in parking lots, around walking paths, down the main thoroughfares of my fairground, and a lot of the entertainment areas such as the rides, the maze, etc. I did not put lights in the middle of the concert, and I really should have put one or two. And I'm also not putting lights in the center of the racetrack because no one is going to be in the center of the track. And as I mentioned in the last episode, that track is not going to be used at night anyway. But I do want the exhibition areas to have some lights. And then this entire back dirt parking lot had no lights because it's a makeshift parking lot. So I wanted to run lights in there to make sure I did get it well. And you can notice I keep zooming out and checking for areas, and I'm running it along the paths, and I am putting some lights in the middle of the maze. I feel like nighttime is something, so if you have the night cycle, which I don't know if that was something that was released to all players upon Sunset Harbor, but I feel like we ignore a lot of the nighttime stuff because, in all honesty, I feel like a lot of people play with that off. And I just wanted to make sure that it got its focus because it is a huge safety issue. And finally, before we close it up for the day, I'm running around and putting smoke stacks, the little smoke, what's the word I'm looking for, like generators, on all of the grills. I think it adds a sense of livelihood that we don't see from them. Makes it go from a prop, in my opinion, to something real. Well, friends, I know I talked a lot, and this was a very fast episode, but this is it for CollabTown, guys. If you liked it, feel free to give me a like. If you have feedback, give me a comment down in the comments. I like your feedback. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. And coming up, I really would love for you guys to give me some ideas of builds that you want to see me do. Fairgrounds, campuses, a small park, anything. But that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Bye.